Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for being here live online again. Let's see if this works out the way I think it's supposed to work out. Okay, I'm opening up on Instagram. Thank you for being here. It's October, it's the full moon. Hello and welcome. Let's see, Instagram. Pull through for me. Let's do this. Hello and welcome. My name is Iworiosa. If you are a sister who is wanting to live their life joyful and free and in your power, in love, and in your relationships, you are in the right place. We need you there. We need you to be there. The world heals when you are healed and when you're in your power. And we need all of us on deck right now. As I said, my name is Iworiosa. I'm an initiated spiritual guide and a love coach, and my temple is Moon Garden Temple. So let's get right into this reading. This is a 3-card pull, and if you don't know, when it comes to being in the full moon energy, it's a time to release what you don't need. And if there's any best time of the year to do that, it's right now in the fall. It's literally nature, of which you are part of, is asking you to please let go. Let go of what you don't need. Are you holding on to it? Just pause for a minute and just think right now for a minute. What am I holding on to that I don't need? What is with me that I could shake but have not been shaking? What is stuck to me that I don't want anymore, that I know I don't want anymore? Time to let that go. It could be people, community, friends, habits, ways of thinking, environments. Okay. And yes, this is the season in October where people tend to fall away. Sometimes it's falling away in just you've outgrown each other. The evolution has started to branch off, and sometimes it's death. There's a lot of death that happens in October. So blessings to all of those dear ones who've fallen away. So this first card, we're going to talk about the desire. This is sort of what's most alive, what's most present for you. You might know it, you might not know it. And as with all readings, take what you need and leave the rest. I'm using the Urban Crow deck today. And hopefully I have a good setup here so you'll be able to see everything I put up for you. Okay, so this first card is about your desire. And it's, well, how do I do this? Self-interest. Ooh, there we go. I don't know. Can you see? Is this setup working? Yes, it looks like it's working. You can see little Bisu, my little cat there in the background. Okay, so self-interest, and we can see that, we have this crow flying off with this mouse while everybody else is kind of looking for what they want and what they need. So right now, what's coming through is that in this time of the year, when things are falling away and when we're letting go, what's coming through is that it's easy to forget about ourselves. Now, self-interest is not the same as being self-absorbed. It's not the same as being selfish. Those, these are all separate things. Self-interest is really about going within and understanding what your needs are the most right now. When we're going through these transitional times, sometimes it feels like there's a lot of chaos, right? So we just went into autumn on this side of the world anyway. So sometimes it feels like it's just like chaotic times, and everybody is going through a lot of changes. It gets kind of loud. Environments, relationships, things start happening in a way that kind of you can't ignore or leave alone. Sometimes it's hard to walk away from. This is the time of year, especially because there's a lot of changing environments. It's the time of year where people might draw on you a little bit more, especially a lot of you ladies out there who are watching or who are following me. You're probably caregivers, and you're probably healers and caregivers and very generous. So this is a time right now to check in with what it is inside you that really needs the most attention. What in your body, what in your mind, what in your, your creative projects needs attention. Okay, another way, I think I said it before, but another way to think of self-interest is like, what is alive in you? Probably heard me say that before. What is alive in you? Pay attention to it. So this is what in this full moon, season is saying to us is your self-interest right here is the most important right now. It doesn't mean that you have to ignore everybody you're taking care of. I have a cat knocking this over. It doesn't mean you ignore everybody that you take care of. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean you ignore your responsibilities, but it does mean that you need to feed yourself, right? You see that little mouse that this crow is carrying around? Feed yourself, feed what you need, and don't forget that. Okay, that's the best way to right now in this full moon period to just like let go of what is not serving you, is to focus within on what you need. Yes, yes, I know that's hard to do for some of us. Or some of us, we say we're going to do it and then we don't, we just go back to serving everybody else. So let yourself be explorative about like what it is you need. Okay, so this next card that I'm pulling is about the blocks. So what is blocking you from sort of turning that attention within and really acting on your own self-interest? Again, something that's sometimes hard for us to do. And the card that comes up is survival. And I'll put this up for you to see. So, excuse me, this is my new setup, so you can actually see the cards that I'm talking about. In this card, you can see how this fox is kind of looking for this crow, and it's hiding under these flowers. So what's coming up is that by any means necessary. Now, we don't want to live our lives in survival mode, although sometimes we do. I have certainly said I'll never go there again, and then I went back there. And so I'm not, I just want to make it really clear. I'm not saying a judgment if you are living in survival mode. It's sometimes this is what we're kind of educated into, or sometimes like we feel like we have no choice, and that's okay. This is the human experience. What this card is saying right now when it comes to blocks is that maybe you spend a little too much time there, and it's preventing you from actually serving yourself for what you really need. Remember, the first card we just looked at is self-interest, right? So this self-interest that's going to help you get to where you want to go, whatever your desire is, check in with what that is right now. What is your desire? What is your desire that you need to be self-interested in, so that you can create whatever it is that you want? I'm going to light this incense here. The cats don't like the incense, so maybe they'll go away and stop knocking over the cards. So survival, what it's suggesting right now is that it's possible that your survival mode, or whatever you're doing for survival, is actually keeping you from seeing yourself, right? Sometimes our survival mode is taking care of others too much. Sometimes our survival mode is not saying the boundaries that we need to say because we want to keep nice. That is not going to serve you at all right now. It doesn't really, ultimately it doesn't really serve you ever, but right now, especially, it's time to move away from that. It's not helping you. It's hurting you terribly. So that's what, you're the biggest block in this full moon season. And the biggest thing that you want to, the biggest focus that you want to put your attention on right now in this full moon season is like asking yourself the questions like, where am I over giving? In what relationships do I feel like this is happening and this is not happening? And this is such a, I learned this in somatics, like this is such a, use movements to understand, to help your body understand and give you really clear clues about where you need to navigate to. So if this is happening a lot in any place in your life and this is not happening, it's possible that you're over giving. If you are, especially, and what's coming up over and over again is these boundaries. Friends, if you are not saying your boundaries, like it can launch you so powerfully into a survival mode. Because ultimately, if you're not saying your boundaries and you're not protecting your peace and your energy, then you're in this mode where you're constantly giving, where you're constantly trying to react rather than being able to be in that peaceful place of like, this is the energy that works for me, and this is why I need, and this is where I'm going to be today. Thank you very much. So if we're not doing that and we're doing this and we're not saying what's okay and what's not okay, like you're going to be in fight or flight or fawn or whatever that stuff is constantly, your cortisol levels are going to be up. You'll probably start sugar loading or get obsessive about certain things in your life, overdoing things, overindulging. You will be in a survival mode. So whatever you need to do to recognize that and drop it, that's what's happening in this full moon reading right now. Okay, so this last card is kind of like this magic card, this power, this skill, this thing that you look to engage with to help you with your self-interest, to help you with letting go of survival mode. All right. And this is going to help you get to wherever it is that you want to be. And again, I'll say it again. When we talk about what we desire most in our life, we talk about like manifesting and prayer. There's the things that are like, the car, the baby, the things that many people recognize and approve of. But then there's also like these internal things that we don't always talk about when we talk about like manifesting. And that is like, I don't want to be angry all the time. I want to change my inner environment. I want to really let go of this habit that I know is destroying my life. Like I eat too much cookie dough and watch Netflix all the time. It's really hurting me. And I really want to change that. Changing that in your life is also what we call manifestation. You're making something alive and real that you can see, touch, feel, taste that was not necessarily the condition or the environment before. So I just wanted to add that again, and I'll keep adding it over and over again because it's so much. I think it's almost more important sometimes to pay full attention to our inner, like our inner environment than our outer one, right? Okay, so the card I pulled for that is distraction. Okay, so another card that can really kind of go the wrong way, because oftentimes we hear in therapy or we're talking about solving a problem or healing, distraction is not the way to go. We want to feel we don't want to not feel our feelings, even if they've been there for a long time and we're tired of them or fatigued of a way of being. We don't want to ignore it. So let's be really clear about that. We don't want to distract to a point where we just don't feel something or we bury it deep inside only to allow it to explode later. That's not what this distraction is about. If you look on this card, you'll see like this crow in the tree, and and he's calling out. So this dog is paying attention to him, so his friend can, so his friend can like have, get a little meal. And unfortunately it's the dog's meal, so the dog's not going to be very happy about that. So this is just something temporary to nourish you. Sometimes when we are, especially if it's survival mode, the conditions of survival mode, sometimes when we are so focused on a certain way of being, especially for other people, to make other people comfortable, if we're doing something habitually over and over again, and we don't really put the effort and energy in to change it, and so it just becomes kind of like the way of life. Of course, we're going to want to do things like therapy. We're going to do things like ritual and prayer. It's going to take maybe years, maybe, it's going to take a lot of effort is what I'm trying to get across here. Maybe it takes a lot of effort to change that. Okay, fine. Let's go on that journey to change that. But sometimes distracting ourselves can stop that momentum. If we're constantly overgiving, for example, or we're constantly irritable, for example, then even if we decide we want to change that, we're going to go through whatever it takes to change that. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, just because we made the decision or that we know clearly in all of our why are there fireworks? I don't know. I don't know what that feature is. Let's do that again. Let's see. I don't know where those fireworks came in. It's an Instagram thing. Okay, I get it. The technology. All right. So even if we're in that momentum, we said, okay, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to change this for myself. Even if that is true, it doesn't mean that it just changes just like that. Okay. Sometimes it's like climbing up a mountain, like it's clawing up. And that in itself is exhausting. And that in itself, how difficult it is sometimes to change that momentum and change what's going on inside of you and change your habits. That in itself, the fatigue of that, the kind of scariness of that sometimes, how much bandwidth it takes within you and energy it takes within you is enough to make people not do it. You know, healing and changing is not always pretty. It's almost never pretty. As a matter of fact, it can be really challenging. That's why it's so worth it. So sometimes it is worth distracting yourself. Not something to rely on, but what this reading is saying is it's okay to distract a little bit so you nourish yourself in other ways. It's okay that if you've been putting so much energy into changing the momentum of, something where you're outputting too much, taking care of too much, like where you're angry all the time, it's okay to sometimes distract, to stop that momentum, to stop your attachment to this is the way it always is. This is the way it always is. This is the way it always is. It's just a tool to use sometimes. It's not where to live. Does that make sense? So in this October full moon, remember, it's a time to let go. It's a time to get really interested in now let me put this card down so you can see all of them. It's a time to pay attention to your self-interest. Like, what is it in you that wants your attention, that is alive, so that you can create whatever it is that you want to create in this life. Now is such a great time. We just changed the season. Okay, go within, especially in this especially in this time of fall, when things are falling away and there's people falling away, environments falling away, and death. It's a really good time to go inside and say, what is it that I need the most, right? What am I most interested in? What is alive? Okay. Then, what the blocks, being in survival mode, doing whatever it takes at any given time. Okay. Yes, sometimes that's the way it is, but this is not where you want to stay. There's opportunity here for you to change that. All I know is that when I was deep in survival mode, like just the idea of the fact that I could feel balanced on a regular basis and wasn't going to be overwhelmed every day. The idea of not being overwhelmed every day and exhausted and feeling like I have nothing left. The idea of it was so challenging to me, but I got to this place where I was like, oh, okay, it doesn't hurt me to just believe in that. And just the belief alone of like, I could be more balanced. I could get enough sleep. I could live days where I have energy all day. I could be in relationships where something's also flowing back to me. Something also nourishes me. When I started saying I could, then it became like I will. People started falling away. Environments started changing. So that survival mode is right now a big block for a lot of you. Huge block. So start exploring what it would be like to not be there. Okay. And the last one, distraction. Okay. So it's okay to use distraction as a tool sometimes to stop the momentum of whatever has you in survival mode. It's not where you want to live. We want to feel all of our feelings. Oh, we need to go through it. Okay. But it's okay to use a little distraction to stop the momentum. It's something that will help you in the long run. Okay. There's a balance there. Okay. So if you want to work on this further, you can always book a session with me. You can find me at moongardentemple.com. And if you want to experience a longer reading, I did do a reading at the beginning of October during the new moon. It's all about clearing what's holding you back, especially you cycle breakers out there, especially all of you out there who are walking that path where you want to really create something that has been in your heart for a really long time. And now is the time. You're here for a reason. Look around you in this world of chaos and confusion and conflict. You're here for a reason. What's in your heart is here for a reason. Your desires are here for a reason. You're supposed to create those things. And if you are being held back by that, go to that reading. We talk about what's holding you back. We do a reading for that will last all through this whole month until I do a new one. And we also talk about moon magic and ritual that will help you with that. And don't let money hold you back, because it's pay as you can. Pay what you can to see that reading. So I'll link that here in this video, or you can find it at moongardentemple.com, or wherever you find me, you'll be able to find that link. Okay. My friends, be blessed. I love you all. See ya.